يا راغبا في كل علم نافع.
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية
زاد أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن. وتعلم الفقه الميسر عاملا بالشرع دون تعصب لفلان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه. أما بعد. We begin today to learn about the fifth pillar of Islam, which is Hajj. Now we know that Hajj takes place once every year. So what is the definition of Hajj? In Arabic, Hajj linguistically is defined as al-qasd, to head towards a place, to go towards a place. And in technicality or legislatively, Hajj is worshiping Allah Azza wa Jal through heading towards the holy sacred shrines, the Kaaba, and the holy places adjacent to it at a specific time, in a specific manner. And this means that those who claim that we can go and perform Hajj to this place or that place are disbelievers. Anyone that claims that you have to go to this city or this location where our peers and awliya are buried, this is total kufr. Because Hajj cannot be to other than Mecca, to the Kaaba, to Arafah, Mina, and Muzdalifah. That's it. So Hajj was prescribed in the 9th year of Hijrah, where Allah Azza wa Jal subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ. And due to Allah from the people is a pilgrimage to the house for whoever is able to find thereto a way. This is a pillar and this is a must. And this verse was revealed on the 9th year of Hijrah, and this is the opinion of the vast majority of scholars. What's the ruling of Hajj? We've stated this, and everyone knows this by default, that it is a fard. It's obligatory once in a lifetime. And this is based upon the Quran, upon the Sunnah, and upon the consensus of scholars. Allah Azza wa Jal stated in the Quran, the ayah I've just recited. And in the Sunnah, the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, as per the hadith of Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, that Islam is built on 5 pillars, and he mentioned one of them is to perform Hajj. And as for the consensus, all schools of thought, all scholars on earth, they all agree that it is one of the pillars of Islam and that it is mandated once in a lifetime. Because the Prophet said once in a speech, O people, Allah Azza wa Jal has mandated that you perform Hajj. So a companion stood up and he said, O Prophet of Allah Azza wa Jal, is it every year? And the Prophet remained silent, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the man repeated his question 3 times. And then the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, if I say yes, it will become obligatory and you would not be able to do it. Which means that No, it's not. It's only once in a lifetime. And the reward of Hajj is huge. For a ritual that you do once in a lifetime, the reward is so huge that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, whoever performs Hajj and does not commit any lewdness or commit any evil, he will go back free of sin as on the day his mother bore him. And this is something that is the result of worshiping Allah in 3 to 5 days at most. And the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, an accepted Hajj brings no less reward than paradise. There's no less reward than paradise for performing such a blessed Hajj. And this ritual, a person must not dispute during it. When you're in ihram or doing Hajj, you must not dispute, you must not argue, you must not speak any profanity or do any evil work or things like we see people pushing and fighting and cursing and screaming and shouting. All of this means that your Hajj was not actually something that is accepted by Allah Azza wa Jal. So, what are the conditions of Hajj to be obligatory? There are many conditions, but these are, as usual, the same with other rituals. One, being a Muslim. So, if you're not a Muslim, you can't pray, you can't give zakat, you can't fast Ramadan. It would not be accepted. You have to have the prerequisite for any of these forms of worship, which is the shahada, the testimony that there is no God worthy of being worshipped except Allah, and that Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is his servant and messenger. Number two, being of sound mind. So if someone who's insane makes Hajj, that would not be accepted. Number three, being an adult, which means that if someone is beyond the age of puberty and he wants to perform Hajj, that is accepted and he's rewarded, but that does not exempt him from another Hajj when he reaches the age of puberty. Why? Because the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, the pen of accountability has been lifted from three: from someone who's asleep until he wakes up, from someone who is below the age of puberty, a child, until he reaches or she reaches the age of puberty, and someone who's insane until he regains his sanity and consciousness. And as stated, the Prophet also said in an authentic hadith, alayhi salatu wasalam, any child who does Hajj, then reaches puberty, must do Hajj again. Because yes, though he is rewarded for it, and the parents who took him to Hajj or to Umrah are rewarded for that, but it would not be sufficient. The fourth condition is that a person has to be free. And what do we mean by being free? That he's not a slave. Because slavery is something that is mentioned in the Quran and in the Sunnah, and it is one of the things that results from wars with the non-Muslims. So the prisoners of war are slaves who live among us in our homes. They serve us so that they can see the beauty of Islam, and in many expiations for sins and wrongdoings, the first thing that comes on top is free a slave. So this is not the time to explain why slavery exists, but it is in Islam, as it is in all other religions. as it was there in thousands of years. So a slave cannot offer Hajj because his time and his life belongs to his master. However, the most authentic opinion is if a slave was permitted to perform Hajj, then his Hajj would be valid, insha'Allah. And the fifth condition is to be able. And ability has a number of forms. So the first ability is the physical ability. And if a person is physically unable to go, someone who is in a wheelchair, someone who has a disability physically that prevents him from being able to travel and to undergo all what's happening in these 5 days, he's exempted. And the evidence is when this Khathamiyah woman came to the Prophet ﷺ, stating that my father is an old man who cannot sit on his ride. So what is to be done? The Prophet said, you perform Hajj on his behalf. So if a person is unable to reach there because of his physical disability, then he's exempted. The other form of ability is the financial. Sometimes we are physically fit, but we don't have the cash, the means to pay for the ticket or to pay for the fees or to stay in Mecca for this long time. In this case, we are unable to perform Hajj and we are exempted. And a third condition of ability is for a woman. A woman might be physically fit, might be financially capable, but she doesn't have a male mahram, a male relative who could accompany her, such as a husband, father, brother, maternal or paternal uncle, or nephews, or stepsons, or stepfathers. So such a woman is also exempted from going to Hajj because of this reason. And the Prophet has clearly indicated that it is not permissible for a woman who believes in Allah and the Day of Judgment to travel without the companionship of a male mahram. And when he said this, alayhi salatu wasalam, a man stood up and said, O Prophet of Allah, my wife went for Hajj and I was drafted to go and fight in jihad. The Prophet said to him, alayhi salatu wasalam, go and do Hajj with your wife. He didn't ask him, is she young or old? Is she beautiful or ugly? Is she alone or with the companionship of other women? He simply said to him, leave what you were doing and go and accompany your wife so that she wouldn't be traveling without a mahram. And Allah knows best. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.
يا راغبا في كل علم نافع
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية زاد
أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن، وتعلم الفقه الميسر عاملا بالشرع دون تعصب لفلان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.